Okay. We just got finished cleaning off the bike. As you can tell, we are at 945 miles, so I don't know. Might have like 2,300, something like that. Either way, we're gonna get the bike out. We're gonna go ahead and take it over to get some fuel, and then we're gonna take it over to see if we can find us a tank bag. I already seen one for like 60 bones, so that's probably gonna be our winner. I knew you were gonna do that. This bike is so much heavier than my fucking. It's crazy. They're like the same size, but the way they're balanced, the other one's so much lighter than this. Okay, there we go. Back to riding. Okay. Go ahead and I guess we can leave the gate open. It don't really matter. Yeah, this is E. Maybe we better get our bitch asses to the fucking gas station. Stat. Alright. Go ahead and bring this over just a hair. Alright. That's good. Does. You know, this bike is definitely completely different from a Super Sport. It feels really good to ride. It's kind of like, it's like sitting in a reclining chair almost. You just kind of like sit there and it rolls. The clutch is a little bit different than the ZX6R. It's probably more of like a position 2 or 3 for the friction zone, whereas the ZX6R is more of a 4 or 5, so sometimes it kind of gets me a little bit, you know, to get used to it, because it's kind of weird, you know, switching from bike to bike. Each bike's a little bit different, but this one's nice and smooth. It's not bad. I really think anybody can ride this one, and especially beginners. Like, beginners are made for this bike, and this is probably like I'd say like the furthest you want to go in most cases. I mean, you can get a ZX6R, but you definitely will get yourself in a lot of trouble. Yeah, I'm probably like 2,400 miles in now. I can definitely say I can understand hesitation from some people from not wanting to get a ZX6R and get one of these instead, or get something smaller like a 400. Because there's definitely enough torque where, like, if you're not expecting it, it might mess you up a little bit. And it's not low end torque like in this bike either, which is kind of weird. If you get up in the like, I don't know, like 8,000 to 10,000 range, that's when it like really opens up and you start getting the full power of the engine. And you definitely will notice it. And for most people that might scare them, especially once you're getting a little bit higher up in the speeds. You know, the ZX6R's first gear goes up to like 60, 65 miles per hour, something like that. No, that's probably not accurate. You probably got to subtract about 5 miles per hour. So even then, like 55 to 60 miles per hour. Isn't that a little bit nuts? That's pretty fast, you know, for one gear. And you definitely can get yourself a speeding ticket, especially here. This is, I think, like 40 miles per hour. Yeah, there you go. So, and there's a lot of shitty bumps. I may show that I'm going 40 here, but in reality, I'm probably going like 35. I kind of just cruise when I get on this bike. I'm not really trying to, you know, go super fast. This bike like tops out at like 120, 130. Whereas my ZX6R, you know, depending on a lot of different variables, and you know, if you get a tune or not, I think they can top out around 170, 175. It won't go much higher than that. You probably have to add nitrous and a turbo and some other shit to make it go even faster. But even then, I don't even know if the engines can handle that. You'd probably have to rebuild the whole thing. And then again, it wouldn't be a ZX6R at that point, right? So that being said, I kind of like revisiting the idea about this bike. Yeah, this bike was actually really fun just to play around on and just screw around on. You know, it feels good. It's a little bit softer on the suspension, so like when you hit a bump, it doesn't feel like you're like skeletaling yourself. It doesn't feel like you're giving yourself a chiropractic freaking move. I don't think anybody's that talented, to be honest. I mean, you can pop fingers and stuff, but like the ZX6R, you hit a bump, it feels like you're cracking like your entire back. Oh man, this guy parked like right up on me. Let's see, when I turn this camera on, you'll actually see it pop up. Oh, so what do y'all think about the picture in a picture? There you go. Doesn't that look so cool? We got the picture in a picture here, and I'm able to swap back and forth between them. It takes a little bit of work, but I think it looks cool. I wonder what y'all think about it. Yeah, this gives you more than one perspective. Instead of just seeing from like behind the motorcycle, you can actually see what I'm looking at and where I'm looking. You know, what's going on behind me. You know, if you notice, I'm definitely, I don't know, you can call me like a bobblehead or whatever. Like, I definitely turn my head every direction when I'm looking around because I'm trying to like look for dangerous things to dodge, you know. Now, I'm not going to be one that's all about safety all the time, but you know, this is a dangerous machine regardless of how you feel about it. You can definitely die on one of these, and it's very easy, especially if you're not paying attention, especially if you're not using gear. I think like 90% of the accidents that end up in a fatality is because you weren't wearing gear at all. So, you know, a helmet, that'll save your life. Anyways, I was swapping cameras back, so now you can see the front camera that's attached to my windshield. It just looks cool. It gives you like maybe a different perspective. I've always been a huge fan of being able to see, you know, what things look like from different angles. Now, I've been having a little bit of trouble with my GoPros, so I changed the settings on them to make the picture look a little bit better, but now I have to set the exposure, which most people probably don't even know that exists on their GoPros. So this picture looks really good. And this is something I was super excited for, because here recently I've recorded a bunch of videos, but the actual video screwed up because I forget to set the exposure. End up getting in between these guys real quick. But I think it makes it look cooler, like giving you multiple angles to kind of like see what's going on. You can see how much the wind's hitting me. And this is all for the ride for me. I just love riding. It's so much fun. Just getting out there and getting a little bit of wind on you. The weather's been pretty good too. It's pretty much only been sunny the last couple of days, and it's not too hot. It's actually nice and cool. The sun beaming on you usually is like not a fun thing when you're on a motorcycle, but I guess here in Texas here recently, because of the storms and stuff, it's actually been nice and cool. So when you're riding, you get like a cool breeze, and I'm wearing mesh. Like, this jacket's armored, but it's all mesh in the spots that don't matter, basically, like inside elbow and bicep, tricep, all that stuff. You know, it's armored in all the right spots, but like some spots it's actually like mesh, so the air just kind of like blows through there and keeps you cool. So it's not too bad. And I've been enjoying that a little bit. So I'm probably gonna get a couple more videos on this before I start doing more videos on the ZX6R. The main reason is because I have not that much footage of the 650. There's a couple of places I kind of want to explore too. I like just getting on the bike and going for a ride. Yesterday I went for a really good ride, but the problem was I didn't get any footage because it just all was overexposed, so everything was super white. You couldn't see anything. My favorite road to go down is a little twisty road. I wish we had some mountains or something to just kind of weave around. We just don't have that here. It's mostly flat land. I think a dirt bike would be super fun. Or maybe like one of those, like an adventure bike or something. One that can go up and down dunes, but it can also go on the highway. That'd be pretty sweet. It's an adventure sport. Who knows? I don't know. I kind of understand now that motorcycles all have their own purposes. They're purpose built. You know, this bike's for like commuting. That's what it's good for. You can fuck around a little bit on it. You probably do wheelies and all that too. This is probably what I'll learn it on, actually, to be honest. Yeah, that way I'm not dropping my ZX6R. I actually dropped it recently, right on my fucking leg. I have a bruise on my knee. It's a small one, but at least I didn't scratch the fairings up. When you're kind of a newer rider, one of the things you're going to do a lot, when you're going to park, you might grab a little bit too much front brake, but you're not straightened out, and gravity will just take over. The bike will fall. And if you're riding like a ZX6R, it's super balanced until you tip it a little bit. As soon as you tip it, like, it gets so heavy. Like, stupid heavy. Yeah. I'm over here trying to talk, but you can't really even hear me. I figured that was going to be the problem because of the wind. Oh man, what a great day. Probably gonna go out for one more ride today because I kind of want to screw up the exposure a little bit more. I'm trying to figure out how to get better clarity at night, because at night a lot of my videos just don't look good. Anyways, that being said, I'll leave y'all with the rest of the video here. If y'all made it this far, y'all are awesome. I'll definitely see y'all in the next one. If you enjoyed what you saw, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe.